Okay, well, I'm going to start as okay, you go ahead.
No, you start.
Oh, no, you start.
No, you start.
Look what happened to me.
So you go start.
Welcome to 365 LOA. How to easily and effectively bring into alignment your thoughts, desires, beliefs, and actions, as well as create a positive parallel environment with those around you and the world as a whole. And now, broadcasting high atop the MacGuffin Towers in exciting Las Vegas, authors of the best-selling book, Advanced Parallel Programming and the Law of Attraction, Dr. Richard K. Nongard and R.J. Banks. Greetings and salutations, my friend, Robert J. Banks, a.k.a. R.J. Banks, right here with my colleague and good buddy and my esteemed. He's esteemed so he doesn't have wrinkles.
That's correct.
Is that what I never knew what esteemed meant. I guess I got to look it up. Anyway, it's Dr. Richard K. Nongard. Yay! Good day, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm pretty resilient today. How about you?
Well, I had a brain tumor, and then they took the brain tumor out, and now I'm blind.
Yeah, well, you know what happened to me?
What?
I lost my voice. I had a tumor in my throat and couldn't speak anymore.
Wow. I was born crippled. I know you didn't know that, but I was born crippled and had to wear. I was like Forrest Gump, had them braces and casts and stuff on my legs.
Well, I had to use a cane to walk from my car into your recording studio.
Well, that's because you're crippled now. The reason why we're doing this is just because today we're going to talk about resilience, the art of bouncing back. And, everybody has things that happen in their life. I mean, it's not all that bowl of cherries as they say. But one of the keys and the secrets to having a happy life is resilience. What would you define as resilience?
Resilience is bouncing back. I really define resilience as learning how to live your best life after adversity. A lot of people have had adverse childhood experiences. They've been dealt a ton of aces. Mm-hmm. And a lot of kids emerge from those early childhood experiences with then lives that are filled with difficulties. When resilience is taught, and it's a skill that's actually taught, the research actually backs us up. Mm-hmm. And it shows that we can mitigate the health problems, the emotional problems, the relationship, the financial problems. We can reduce recidivism in the prison system. We can find solutions to big social problems. And it all comes by helping people to acquire the skill of resilience.
I'm glad that you brought that up because it truly, truly is a skill. And a process that you have to learn how to do it. If you don't have those skills, then you're just going to sink and you're going to get caught up in all the well, I guess you could call it fake news and all the gossip and all this stuff with social media these days. Anybody can post anything, and with 300 different news channels that all say the same thing differently, you don't know who to believe or who to trust or anything like that. And, actually, let's talk about that for a second. We've been going through this whole coronavirus thing. And what is your take on how to stay resilient or
I think resilience is probably something that is essential during this time period. We know that teaching resilience to kids with adverse childhood experiences helps them to live a better life. My own experiences have taught me that even when life hasn't gone as planned and bad things have happened, even bad things, by the way, Rob, that I caused myself, that I was responsible for, I was able to bounce back from those things when I practiced the skills of resilience. I teach my clients resilience. One of the ways I do that is by teaching them the art of mindfulness, staying in the present, because mindfulness takes all of the pressure of the future away from me. And without that pressure, just being fully present in this moment, I can actually put a space between me and my emotions, and I can kind of thrive. I think that's really one of the keys to resilience. Mindfulness isn't a difficult thing to learn. Mm-mm. It's all about just paying attention to this moment, this breath, setting aside any regrets over yesterday, the woulda, coulda, shouldas, avoiding following our thoughts about the future, what could happen, what might happen, the what ifs, and just being fully present. And even if there are bad things going on with you right now, just taking a breath and being fully present in this moment can make a change. I always tell people, as long as you're breathing, you're actually okay. You know, over the years, I've worked with a lot of oncology patients. These are folks who have catastrophic diagnoses. Some of these diagnoses, they know are most likely going to lead to an early demise. And they could be filled with fear and anxiety. But even in the face of a catastrophic diagnosis, there's the clients of mine who've done the best are those who are resilient. And they become resilient by recognizing that no matter what else is going on in the world, as long as I'm breathing, I'm actually okay.
Your 3-2-1 reset is something that is perfect for this situation. When
Sure, and that's a mindfulness training skill. It's just, again, it's so simple. It's a technique of taking in 3 breaths and paying attention to the breath, because that's a grounding exercise. I stop, I pause in the middle of the chaos or the trauma, and I just breathe 3 times, counting each breath. Take my 2 hands and cross them across my chest, giving myself a self-hug, embracing myself for just a moment, and then spending 1 minute in silence, bringing my attention to the breath, not trying to stop bad thoughts, but rather using an awareness of thoughts or feelings or a sensation as an indicator to bring my attention back to the breath. And at the end of 1 minute, open the eyes, taking a breath, notice the smile on your face. And people who practice this or any other mindfulness technique find that it produces resilience. Here's the way it works. If you go into well, Rob, if you're sharpening an axe, sharpening the axe won't actually chop down a tree. It's just sharpening an axe.
Right.
But when you go into the forest, having sharpened the axe, it makes it a whole lot easier to cut down a tree when you actually find one. So that's what mindfulness is all about. That practice doesn't seem like it does much, but it's just like sharpening an axe. So when you find yourself in the midst of adversity, resilience is the outcome, the ability to bounce back even from extremely difficult times.
Now, one thing that is prevalent that I hear a lot of people that are kind of freaking out about this is a lot of people say that they feel like they're out of control. Everything is out of control. What advice would you give people to kind of reel themselves back in?
You know, the 12-step programs, Alcoholics Anonymous and other 12-step programs, have really popularized our awareness of the Serenity Prayer.
I think that would really work in this situation.
Well,
wouldn't you?
Sure. And the reason why the Serenity Prayer works is because it is cognitive behavioral therapy, or it is self-hypnosis. When I say those words, when I recite the Serenity Prayer, what happens is I'm hearing those words on my own mind. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
I think that's a big key right there, is the know the difference. But you also, you know, I was talking to my mother last night. It was cracking me up because you even asked me today how mom's doing, and I talked to her last night. And she is, I mean, she's 85 years old. She is so kicked back, so laid back. And, you know, I'm over here and, you know, I have to admit the last few days, because I get a little, you know, it's like, well, what's going on out there? We're all in isolation. So it's very tempting to turn on the news to see what's going on. And I got to tell you, Richard, I got myself in a tizzy over like 2 days of just kind of popping into the news, and it started freaking. It's like, but that's where it is, that I cannot control what the newscasters are saying. I cannot control what the virus is spreading. I can't control any of that, but I can control how I'm going to let it affect me. And I have the choice to turn on the TV, turn off the TV, turn on the Facebook or the internet, and get all that. When I talk to my mom, I says, like, how you doing, Mom? What are you doing? I'm all concerned. And she's like, well, I'm just sitting back, laughing at all these people and the way that they're freaking out over all this stuff. You know, talking about the toilet paper. You can't find it. It's just so silly.
Well, we have an ability when we see those news reports that are all sensationalistic, even though they may be based on truth, and to recognize something. The reason why something makes the news is because it's not the norm. The reality is, when we see bad things on the newspaper or bad things on the news channel, it should be a reminder to me that the world is still a pretty good place. Because if it were all falling apart, that wouldn't be news. The news would be, of course, Mr. Jones was a nice guy and brought his neighbor a cake. So anything that's on the news, it may be true, but it's news because it's the exception rather than the rule. And that can bring us a real sense of freedom. But I think it's really important, yes, to stay informed, but I think also to recognize that there are certain things I cannot control. And I need to recognize that and exercise my time in a way that actually focuses on the things I can't control. I can control, Rob, whether or not I get enough exercise today. I can control whether or not I get restful sleep or not today. I can control whether or not I communicate with people who I love, who I care about, and who care about me today. I can control whether or not I program my mind with morning affirmations. I can control whether or not I have a smile on my face. All of those things are things that I have the ability to control. And when I exercise control over those things rather than worrying about the things I cannot change, it's empowering.
And that is where so much stress comes from. Now, I know, when we sit there and we focus on something that we don't have any control over, but in actuality, you do have that control, just like you were saying. You can choose what to watch, what not to watch, what to listen to, what not to listen to, what to read, what not to read, what to believe and what not to believe. And I know it gets confusing out there, and that's where I think faith and belief comes from. But
that's why we wrote our book, Advanced Parallel Programming and the Law of Attraction, so that people had a plan for creating congruence between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, or in other words, between the actions they take and the core values they hold. It teaches strategy. So if I recognize, hey, I'm not living my best life in the middle of this adversity, that's an indicator, Rob, that it's time for me to up my skill level.
Okay, and that's a very key point right there that I wanted.
You can up your skill level with techniques like advanced parallel programming. You can up your skill level with techniques like well-formed affirmations. You can up your skill level. I actually just checked my book sales today for this month for the book, The 7 Most Effective Methods of Self-Hypnosis. It is flying off the bookshelves. And the reason why so many people are buying it is they're saying, hey, I need to have those skills in being able to live my best life in the middle of adversity.
Having purpose, or I guess is what you would call it, in times like this, it really does strengthen your self-worth or purpose, I guess. And that's one thing. When we feel defeated, you can do that. I'm a victim or I'm a victor, and you can choose to be a victor over that. I mean, we all, I know we started this off with, I had a brain tumor. I had a tumor in my throat. Those are all physical adversities that just you and I have gone through. And we started off that just to show you what we're talking about, I guess, to get your attention. But those type of challenges and those type of things, those are things that we can choose to move forward with and not let them make us become a victim, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
One of the great things about our previous adversities is it gives us an opportunity to transcend difficulties so then that we can share our experiences with others to help them avoid difficulties. I really consider some of the adversity that I've had in life a real blessing, because I've had the ability then to share solutions that have worked for me with others and with my own children so that they didn't have to experience the same difficulties that I've had. Now, they probably experienced their own difficulties. After all, I was their dad. But nonetheless, some of those long-standing sort of family deficits or family traditions were broken. Although I wasn't a perfect father, here's a great thing. My kids have never seen me drunk. They've never seen me take a drink. Not once. In fact, today, I've actually been sober 32 years as of today. It's been since March 31st of 1988 that I actually had a drink. So that was 32 years ago. And that was before my kids were born. So by breaking the cycle of family adversity, I've created resilience in an entire new generation.
That brings up a very good point that I'm going to pick your brain with.
Sure.
Now, our children and our children's children, I think, what I look at is like we are the last generation of, I don't want to call us tough kids, but it's like we were outside playing, we were doing stuff. We weren't we were making bicycle ramps out of crates and wood and 2x4s and bricks. I mean, just some of the crazy stuff that I look back now when I was a kid. It's like, oh my God, how did I survive through that? So now, where does one draw the line in, I have gotten personal experience to learn, and I learned a lesson the hard way this way. So now you have your children. What do you teach your children when it comes to that, as opposed to letting them do it on their own? Because we have such a bubble-wrapped youth these days.
I think whether it's our kids, whether it's our coworkers, whether it's our employees, whether it's our friends, the best way is always to lead by example and to attend and to be with somebody. So as a therapist, I don't dispense advice. Remember, Lucy sold advice to Charlie Brown for 5 cents? Advice is only worth 5 cents. If I said to you, Rob, based on my years of wisdom and my experience, let me share this with you. You might actually listen to me because you're respectful, but you're probably not going to see a lot of value in it. But if I come alongside you and I walk a mile with you, that is what gives people an opportunity to experience success. So I think resiliency, if you're talking about parenting, is done by attending to and being with your kids, by being with them during the difficult times, rather than up. I told you so. So my stepfather, I had a transmission go out somewhere between Dallas and Houston years ago. So I called him at 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, hey, what should I do? I think my transmission's out. Should I tow it to Tulsa or should I tow it to Houston? And he said, well, you should have taken that shop class in high school I told you to take. My thought on that was, wow, this is really bizarre, because even if I had taken the shop class, I wouldn't be able to fix my transmission at 1 o'clock in the morning. He wasn't communicating, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I called him because I needed somebody with me. I needed somebody who was wise to give me a decision. Is it more cost effective to tow it to Tulsa or tow it to Houston? Should I, what should I do? And so by being with somebody, attending to them, even in silence, we're really communicating. You're not alone. And that is what creates strength and resilience in those who we love. Yeah,
exactly. Just having that support team, if you will, with you, having your friends and your family that that really can help you get through. You can help each other. I mean, like right now we're talking about the whole Corona quarantine situation. And even though we have to stay apart, but we can still come together. And this has actually been a time where people have really started to band together, which is kind of cool. But you have your friends and your family. You can use them for support. And if that doesn't work, you can always call a professional. And, it's like, it's so funny because...
it's interesting. I just came from my house where I was actually seeing therapy clients online today.
Oh, cool.
So people are out there to be situational supports, to help you during difficult times, to teach you the skills of resilience, to practice mindfulness with you, to help you learn self-hypnosis, to learn the value of a breath, to help connect you with the resources in the community that are available, even if services are limited.
One of the challenges, and it's something that, yes, you can do it. As long as you tell yourself you can do it, and that is to maintain a positive outlook on what's going on. Like right now, we can look at doom and gloom, or we can look at what the positive outcome is going to be. That's where visualization comes in. And that's where that whole filtering what you're listening to and what you're allowing to go into your subconscious, because, our conscious mind is the receiver of information, and then we evaluate it, and then we send it off into our subconscious as our belief, and that's what sets our foundation. So it's very important to maintain that positive outlook, visualize what your outcome is, what it is that you want, the optimum outcome, and focus on that instead of focusing on the fear. Remember, focus equals fuel. Where your attention goes, energy flows.
Focus on what's right rather than what's wrong.
What's right.
What you can control rather than what you can't control.
So we're almost out of time here, sir. Any last words of wisdom on
the last word of wisdom is real
bounce
simple.
back and
When
resilient?
this webcast is done today, when the 365 LOA podcast ends today, take a minute and take 3 breaths. Pay attention to those 3 breaths. Count them. 1, 2, 3. Take your 2 hands and give yourself a self-hug and hold those hands on your upper arms and shoulders.
Self-hug.
For a self-hug for 1 minute. And just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. And pay attention to this moment rather than tomorrow or yesterday.
Exactly.
And practice mindfulness.
And if you're like stuck on that negativity, on that doom and gloom,
send us a message.
But yeah, send us a message. We will be more than happy to help you. But my suggestion is it's the same thing with when we do the law of attraction. What is it that you want and what you don't want? And a lot of people focus on what they don't want. It's the same thing. When you're focusing on doom and gloom, take a piece of paper. On one half of the paper, write down, I'm worried about this, or this sucks, or what, all the things that you're worried about. Then on the other side of the paper, what is the opposite? What is the visualized outcome that I would desire in this situation? And then you can use that and focus and start doing visualization and meditation and focusing on the desirable.
Yeah, that's actually a great strategy. Hey, we're out of time, Rob, so tune in. Same time, same channel, same place. By the way, our schedule is set Sundays and Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific time. We release a new edition of the 365 LOA podcast. You can visit our website at 365LOA.com. Get a bunch of awesome resources that we have for you.
Free stuff.
And if you want to reach out to us and send us a note, a message, hate mail, fan mail, ask us a question, you can always find us at the Law of Attraction Affirmations Facebook group.
That's facebook.com/LOA affirmations. And with that, I bid you adieu, sir.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to 365 LOA with Dr. Richard Nongard and RJ Banks. For additional information, including free downloads, or to send them an email, visit 365LOA.com. That's 365LOA.com.